right, we start off this time.
Okay. Hey guys, it's Teresa.
And John.
You know, it's so funny. We tell you this like you don't know.
Podcast number 3.
3. Okay, this podcast, and Chasey's with me here.
First week procedures.
Okay, this is super important. I know we said that about the last one, and we said that about the first one, so they're all important.
This one really is super.
But keep in mind that you are responsible for knowing the content of every single podcast. That sounds like a commercial. Maybe it is. But seriously, you guys are, because it's this or you sit there in a meeting for many hours and listen to us.
So Tom, make sure you listen to it.
Please. And Scott. Isn't that funny? No, really, we should be saying, let's move on. Let's stop there and move on.
Yeah, just stop.
Okay. Again, when John sends out the podcast, you will get this attachment too. Personally, I'd be saving them all, downloading them all, printing them, something, so you can get to them at fingertips.
So this is an attachment that's with it, and we're just going to speak right from this, so you can look at it on your computer or print it out and go from there. So let's start with faculty and staff parking. So that first week, you know how crazy it is out front, and with parents and cars and that sort of thing. Please make sure that you park in the, I'm pointing this way because that's the direction of the parking lot. Please make sure that you park in the staff parking lot, you know, like normal. Cafeteria, maintenance folks are going to park in the back by receiving, and that way we leave the front open for visitors, people coming in to register their kids or whatever they got to do.
And again, place and custodian and kitchen, that all depends on what time you get here.
Sure.
I mean, if you get here later, there are no spots, then you need to park over in the staff parking. So, but it might be a good idea to pull in the parking lot and fill in all spaces on a routine basis, as close to the playground as you could possibly get, leaving all of the spaces up towards the front of the parking lot open.
Yep.
Probably less car dings too. Arrival. Okay, you know that at least that first week we need all hands on decks. On deck, we have IAs and support facilitators who graciously go around classroom to classroom and make sure that every child knows how he or she's getting home, and you know how every child's getting home.
Thank you in advance for doing that,
right.
too.
And we'll let you know.
That's huge.
It is huge. We'll let you guys know who you are later, probably pretty much the same group. But what we want to say is during that first week of school, we are asking that everyone, including instructional assistants, guidance counselor, art, music, PE, speech, paths, support staff, everyone assist at the bus loop, the car loop, bike riders, walkers, courtyard, just everywhere. We're going to give everyone alpha lists. We're going to give everyone maps of the school. So if you see a little child wandering around, looking like they don't know where they're supposed to be or where they're going or crying, you can immediately figure out who they are, where they're going, and escort them to their classroom.
Right.
We really need to assure parents that
we're on top of it.
We're on top of it, and that they should have no fears and no anxieties. That we're really just in tune to the kids walking around us and making sure they're all getting where they're supposed to be safely. And they feel good.
Also, I think now's a good time for a spoiler alert. You know what that is, right?
What's the spoiler alert?
Okay, well, you know, a spoiler is like when there's like a movie and, you know, just you don't want to give away something, so something's going to be given away. So, spoiler alert.
Isn't a spoiler what's on the back of a car, too?
That's totally different, but yes.
But it's
true.
a spoiler.
It is. So anyway, spoiler alert. So Teresa, just a second ago, when she was reading down this list here and sort of looking at her notes, she said, you know, that we need all personnel such as instructional assistants, guidance counselors, art, music, PE teachers, speech, etc., all hands on deck. Well, because of our new structure with PLCs that you heard about in the last podcast, that means that our special area teachers are going to be busy doing that stuff. Maybe not the first week. However, all of those other people that they mentioned, they actually are going to be having regular duties this year because of the new structure.
And I'm glad you're bringing that up, because that first week we don't need to do extended PLCs. Probably
Right.
the first 2 weeks we don't.
True.
You can just do your own PLCs in your own classrooms and your own pod, because we need to make sure that all of our kids are getting to school safely, getting into classrooms safely, getting home safely.
Right.
So that's something that we will have to just kind of roll with for definitely the first week of school.
So the spoiler alert, though, had to do with the duty schedule, which will be coming out soon.
Okay.
All right, backpack bans. How about that?
Oh, wait, one other thing,
Oh,
too.
sorry.
As you recall, that first day of school, we always open the gates early, and I think the second day we do, too, but definitely that first day, like 9:20, because we have no choice, because what happens is no one can move. All the cars become congested, and it's like a gridlock. It's like, I'm sure, New York or someplace like that where I've never been, and no one can move.
We can ask it. Yeah, we can ask our new PE teacher about
That's
that.
right.
All right. So backpack bans. You know, the wristbands or backpack bands, we always put them on the backpack. Those are going to be given out at registration. So when the parents come in and they find out how they're, you know, what bus their kid's riding, or if they're on a daycare van, or if they're a walker or whatever, so they're going to get the bands. But if you have kids that show up, and we always do, that first day without bands, you need to let us know, so that as our friends come around who, you know, are making sure we know how the kids get home, that they can get the correct band. We can find out how that kid's getting home, and they can get the correct band on that kid, so we know for sure.
And the band is all about how they're going home, not how they get
Come
here.
to school,
But
because that
how
could be
they're
different.
going home. So again, those first 3 days, we'll have a group of people who go around and double check all of this. And they spend all day doing it.
Like the first 2 days, making sure.
First 3 days they do.
Absolutely.
First 3 days they
like
do.
I said, 3 days.
Okay, parents.
Jinx.
We are allowing parents to escort their children to the classroom for the first 3 days only. We feel like that's a very fair compromise.
Some schools don't let them do it at all.
Right, and some do it all 5, but a lot of them just don't allow it at all. But we do allow it the first 3. We will remind parents to leave
We'll get on the announcement.
by the tardy bell. They need to be gone by the tardy bell. And that first day, we will have a breakfast for any parent who wants to go to it. And this year, I think it's going to be out in the courtyard, so they can grab a cup of coffee or donut or bagel or whatever.
Last year was in the media, and I think people
It's
missed it.
off, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll be out in the courtyard so they can grab and go. And just like our kids do on grab and go days. So just wanted to let you know about that, but we will be making multiple announcements that parents need to go now. So always call us if there's a problem.
Okay, so in the afternoon, parents, even though it's the first week of school, are not allowed to pick up in the classroom just like ever.
Right.
Like not ever, so
Never,
the same
ever,
dismissal procedures will apply the first week of school like the rest of the year.
And always keep in mind too, visitors need to have a visitor tag on. Now, those first 3 days,
Make sure you have your badge.
First 3 days they don't, because we're going to let them in the front office. But after that, if you ever see anyone on campus without a badge, we would much rather you offend a parent. Not that we want that, but we would rather the parent be offended for you asking and err on the side of caution than not, and it's someone on campus who has no business on campus.
You can always blame it on
Us.
student safety.
That's right. Cafeteria. Definitely kindergarten teachers, you will want to take your kids to the cafeteria that morning sometime before 11:15 because that's when lunches start.
Yep.
Just to take them through the line and show them what it's all about and where they're going to be sitting. So all grade levels are welcome to do that, but we definitely need kindergarten teachers to do that.
Recess. All right, recess begins.
Before we go on to recess,
Sorry.
please remember the importance of being on time to drop your kids off in the cafeteria
Yeah.
and picking them up.
We actually mentioned that in the last podcast.
And we'll continue to mention it. That is so very important. So please make sure you're always paying attention, not just the first week of school, but all the time to the time.
All the time to the time.
All the time to the
All
time.
the,
You know
all
what I
the
mean?
time to the time.
Do you know what I mean?
Never.
Whatever, do recess.
All right, recess will start on the first day of school. So,
Woohoo!
that's right. I'm sure they'll love that, and so will you.
And so will you.
So remember, they get 10 minutes of recess before lunch. So make sure that you have that planned out so that that 10 minutes gives you enough time to make sure that they're in the cafeteria at the right time. Do you want to add anything to that?
Nope, there are hand sanitizers out there on the wall. Please make sure they use the hand sanitizers. That's just gross if they don't.
Right. Dismissal.
We have 3 dismissals. They're staying the same. The first one will be signaled by an announcement at 3:45 for car riders, walkers, bike riders, Creative World Place, YMCA, and whoever else might be coming this year that we don't know yet.
Right.
The second dismissal will be at 3:50. That's going to be by a bell. And this signals all 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade bus riders to be dismissed and monitoring them. And then the third dismissal will be at 3:55 by a buzzer, and this signals for all K, 1st, and 2nd grade bus riders to be dismissed.
So it's basically the same as it always is.
It's the same.
Except that...
Car riders and bus riders are going to be different. It's just a minor detail.
Except that the first 2 weeks of
everybody.
school, for buses at any rate, it's going to be completely different. So, and that may be another podcast.
That probably needs to be
has to be a separate podcast.
And we'll talk.
I can't even get into that right
We'll
now.
talk to you on that podcast about a little bit of change in car riders, just which is an FYI. Really won't affect you. Bus riders will affect you.
Yeah, bus riders will definitely affect you. The car riders, it's interesting. You'll see.
What is super important is that first
Safety.
day, first 3 days, after first day of school, we don't really care if they learn anything. This is going to be the only time you hear us say it. We need to get them here on campus. Stay here, JC.
Have them
Unloaded in your classroom safely. Get them fed. Get them recess. Make sure they have a happy day. And get them home safely. Most of you have been through our first day. And that afternoon can be kind of scary sometimes. Just making sure that everyone gets home.
Well, and the zombies.
The ones who fall asleep.
No, the zombies is scary.
Who are the zombies?
Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
All right.
All right.
That's it for now. You've put up with enough of us. So another day we will do the instructional and non-instructional folders with you.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the board, and we will also do the changes with bus and cars.
Yep. All right. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.